What's up, guys? So we took the S10 to the track, did some testing, did pretty decent. We'll talk about a few things on it, show the time slip, show a little clip of it, run down the track, and go over the truck, kind of the next plan for it, and then what we have coming up for the truck. So if you're just tuning in the channel, original setup was LS3 intake, had a little like 600 horse rated intercooler here, and then a 78, 79 comp. On 19 pounds, it did a 6.7 something was its best. I have the time slip somewhere, and it was at like 109 miles an hour with like a 1.6 60 foot, 1.65 or 1.69 60 foot. Not too bad. So really the 60 foot hasn't changed because essentially it's all the same. But the time it's ran now is a way better, a lot more mile an hour on a pound less boost, and it's running even faster. So I'll insert the clip of the run right here. And now we'll take a little look at the time slip here, kind of show what it did. So as you can tell, this is the best 60 foot I've gotten with just foot brake, which is a 1.57, pretty decent. And then it went 6.26 at 118. So it has a mile an hour to do fives, but I just can't get it. I need to get this short track done a little bit better. So the issues we were having with the truck was suspension issues. So we'll start at the back, and we'll take a look at the back. And we were having some bounce issues. I was running the tire pressure around 12. We bumped it up to 14. That helped. So that was a little bit better. But back here, so this rear suspension setup is it's pretty basic. It's just a Caltrac setup with a split mono leaf. I'm not sure of the spring rating or anything like that. These are just some Ranchero adjustables, but as you can tell, there's not much travel. I actually need to get a shorter shock for that so I can actually have some travel back. There's a few things that need to be taken off the truck, save a little bit of weight. There's a little bracket up here, the exhaust mount's still in over here, and a few other things. The other thing on this is the diff is pretty wore out. This is like a stock 8.8 out of an Explorer. The only thing is the tubes have been welded. So I need to get some shocks for the rear. I do need to put an anti-roll bar on it as well eventually. Right now I'm not really seeing any benefit. Not necessarily benefit, but I'm not seeing a need for it right this second because I don't really have the truck set up great. So I need to get the truck set up good and then add that in. I mean, I guess I could add it in and just not hook it up. But as far as right now, the next step is shocks, and then I get another rear end. I have another 8.8 out of an Explorer that I can narrow, so that way the pumpkin is centered, because right now it's short axle on this side, long axle, so I can shorten it up, get some different wheels, and get the tires set up under the truck a little bit better, and then start dialing the suspension on the rear end done, or get it done, and then move up to the front. The front is basically lower control arm, a coilover conversion, stock upper, which that upper is pretty wore out. I don't know the spring rate or anything, but I am going to buy upper control arms and then QA or Vikings for the front and rear to help that be able to hold, because really what it's doing is at the track it comes up, and I'm not sure if you can see in that clip, but it comes up, gets out about 40 feet and starts to come back down, and then I'll shift and it'll get back into the power and try to, it's just a lot of bouncing more or less. The rear was bouncing because that shock travel, the front isn't staying up, so it unloads the suspension. It's not really set up good. The other issue I had actually at the track, and I'm not sure if you can see this in the camera, but I have a lot of tread right here and not a lot of tread right here. So this tire locked up, really both of them locked up, but when I let off enough, this one stayed kind of locked up and kind of flat spotted that tire. So what it was doing, I still have a vacuum a brake booster on the truck that's vacuum operated, obviously. So having a little issue with the throttle body. I don't know if it's necessarily exactly the throttle body. I need to kind of troubleshoot a few things. I do have this like sandwich plate kind of bracket on here. I don't know if that's hanging or this gasket's like touching that. I don't think it really is, because right now I can't feel nothing. It operates smooth. But after a pull under boost, I let off and it holds the throttle open about 8%. The TPS is showing 8%. So what that's doing is I'm not getting any vacuum into this booster. When I get on the brakes at the end of the run, I'm basically running with no vacuum brakes. So I'm standing on the brakes. Well, if I blip the throttle and it closes and pulls vacuum, I'm standing on these brakes, and then it pulls vacuum, and then it just locks the brakes down. That's what happened there. So realistically, this needs to go and needs to get manual brakes put on it and do away with all that. But I'm gonna do, which it'll eventually get done. The vacuum line on here will be gone whenever the engine gets built. We're just gonna do like basically keep it what it is now, just with some stronger internals, and that way we can turn the truck up a lot more. Because right now it's only on 18 pounds. And like I said before, it went 109 on 19 pounds. Now it went on one less pound, like basically one less pound of boost. It went 9 miles an hour faster. So that's pretty good, I think. I think other than that, it's this booster setup needs to go, course control arms, and then maybe one of these days I might pull the power steering off, which this is a full interior, full, like all the lights work. It's fully legal. I mean, minus that over there. But it is a street truck. So, I mean, this thing is full interior, full glass. That's not Lexan. It goes through the cab, not the glass. So this is factory glass, factory windows, full interior. Still got my crank windows that work. And even got, well, I don't have an antenna, but not really getting service here. Well, the radio works. Missing this piece that came off of the track, but for the most part, I mean, it's a street truck, so that's what I want to keep it. I mean, even the roll pan is steel, but the other thing is we're gonna do a street class event, and I need to extend this piece back past the firewall, which if you look, there's the firewall there, and that ends about here. So realistically, I need my exhaust to go past this point. So about probably about 10 to 11 inches, maybe a pipe. That'll put it past the firewall. I have the piece I cut off of this because this was a 90. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clock it and just tack it on here, and then have it come back and then add a little extension piece on it just to get it past the firewall mark. That way we can be in the street class. So, because this is a street, like I said, this is a street truck. I've driven this thing 500 miles before, no problem. And so it can handle a street cruise. It drives everywhere. I drive it just to cruise it, go get, food in it, go to the grocery store, whatever in it. But, so that's kind of where the truck's at. It did really good. I'm happy with it. Next will be just getting the suspension lined out and getting this thing kind of working good. And then once we get all that done, the truck should go pretty quick. The only thing that's kind of holding it back really too is it doesn't have a trans brake, so I can't really get the truck to leave any hard. It was actually making about a pound and a half of boost, so I think when we get a trans brake on it and I can really leave on like 8 pounds of boost, it's gonna really go. But with a trans brake, maybe I can get it to cut like a 1.4, 1.3, 60 foot. That'd be kind of nice. But for sure I can get it down. I mean, it's in the 1.5s. I think with the trans brake leaving around 8 pounds, it should cut like a 1.4, like a mid-low 1.4, 60 foot. So I think that'll kill a lot of time off of it, and should put the truck at least in the 5s. So that's pretty good for a stock bottom end 6-liter cam and a good intake and a good like setup. So I'm pretty happy with being able to foot brake a 6.2 at 118. I can get more mile an hour on the big end if I just turn it up. We could turn it up 20-25 pounds and it would probably run 120, probably low 120s, high mid 120s in the eighth. So I mean, it has the power to go pretty fast. So we just got to get the rest of the truck on board. We have the power, we just need the suspension and transmission set up to do it. So we'll come back to that thing when we get close to that time. We'll pull the trans, we'll send it out, get the refreshed, get a trans brake put in, get a few other things done to it, and then really start sending the truck and seeing what it'll do. I don't know, the motor should be okay. It's got a lot of mileage and a lot of passes on it. So, I mean, we'll just kind of keep checking on it, check the oil every time we race it, and then when we change the oil, see if there's anything in it. But eventually it will need to be rebuilt or built. So like I said, I'm going to do a built motor, just basically keep it a 6-liter. I've already got a cam, I've got a set of heads. I just need to get the bottom end done, and then get the heads either ported or just refresh them. They're brand new, they just need valves and valve springs. Just put them together, put them in the truck, and then break in, and then just check everything, because it's basically going to be the same setup minus the cam specs are a little different, so the tune should be pretty close, but we'll go over it, make sure it's correct. And then I mean, other than that, the truck will be pretty fun. And if the goal is mid 8s in the quarter is the goal, like if I can run a 850, I'll be pretty happy. If it'll go faster, cool, but I'm definitely going to need more cage. So when it comes to that point, we'll get all that done. But right now we'll get the chassis set up as far as suspension and everything, dial that in on the power it's making now, get the truck to go as fast as it can consistently, and then we'll turn the power up. But until then, we're just gonna have to start chopping out the suspension and getting that dialed in. So, but just keep an eye out for some more videos on this thing, and then I'm gonna try to keep up on some of the other videos. We're gonna do some more videos with trying to do little like spotlights of some of the cars. I'll do one on my Cobra down here. I'll talk about it, kind of history and stuff on it and stuff. But, and then I got a couple other cars we can talk about too, and stuff that's kind of on the back burner that hopefully within the next year or so I can get going and get them on the chopping block. So, but if you like, subscribe, and see you on the next video. Peace.